It's the grand final of the Illuminating Rounds 2024 VASL tournament, and I'm playing Andy Bagley. I'd not met or played Andy before, but by all accounts he is an expert player, as well as a gentleman, so I was looking forward to a good game. During this video, I'll present Andy's thoughts on the game turn by turn, voiced by AI, and some of my thoughts pre-game, post-game, and in the 2 intermissions we had between sessions. J182 Belgian Blitzkreig is a tricky scenario. We started by both bidding Germans. For me, this was a choice influenced by the published results, which show the majority of wins going that way. I lost the dice roll, and so went Belgians with the balance. As the Belgian, I was keen not to lose by the turn 2 VC, but I was also alert to balancing the end of game VC by having some cover for the westerly VC buildings to make that a decent contest. I expected German forces to be kept back for turn 3 and deployed to have some coverage for that, specifically the AT gun, which I thought best to cover the northerly approaches. My MMG was kept towards the rear also, as a key asset in the mid to late game. My main concern was the solid ability to hold building Z6, and then being able to transfer units from this defence to the rear. I had read many comments from played games that had the Belgians really struggling to retake the westerly buildings.
The unusual victory conditions make this a fascinating scenario. The Belgian defenders must place a sufficient force in building Z6 to prevent its fall by turn 2, whilst keeping enough units back to guard the western buildings. Correspondingly, the Germans must decide whether to go all out to take building Z6, or try to bypass it to capture other buildings before the Belgian reinforcements arrive. Based on the Belgian setup, I decide to go for the second option, as they have no units in Z4 or Y5 threatening a northern flank advance. I also plan to keep a small force pushing towards building Z6 to draw any fire from its upper levels and dissuade the defenders from rushing westwards. I also retain a small reinforcement group to enter on turn 3 CSSR4. Pre-game, I rubbled N5 and M6, CSSR2 to stop the Belgians using level 1 to overlook the hedges should I choose to bring my reinforcements on from the south. Turn 1. My units approaching A5 all had safe routes if they broke, but excellent Belgian DRs 2-3s meant that 2 half squads are shot dead. Another squad is also reduced to a broken HS by Fine and a sniper. This is a terrible start, but at least my northern group progresses as planned unscathed. Predictably though, some Belgian units from the Z6 area already start to move west. Turn 2. My trucks with AT guns will enter on Y1, but I choose to delay them because I'm expecting resid in that hex. My sweep round the northern flank continues to go well, with a bit of luck in surviving machine gun and long-range defensive fire with nothing worse than a pin result. I guessed wrong. I thought the Belgian MG would be in R9. I can also move 2 squads into W4 to hinder any further movement west from Z6, although only one survives Belgian prep fire. In response, the Belgians retreat from the woods in P4 to building N4 level 1 to defend my advance in the north. Turn 3. All my reinforcements now appear in the north, and my trucks fortunately survive defensive fire undamaged. My northern flank attack is supposed to be accompanied by a push through the woods in front of building N4. However, I forget about the Belgian AT gun, which was not only cunningly hidden in 03, but achieves a critical hit against my approaching infantry in P3. This loses me 1 full squad, and I'm fortunate that the others can route forwards as he has no LOS from N4 level 1 to P2. I decided against entering CC with my leader and squad from P4 because of the PF they would then face from N4, but these guys now look isolated in P5. I feel I'm struggling because I've lost so many units, and I fear being outnumbered when the Belgian reinforcements arrive, although I'm pleased that none of his units from building Z6 have made it west to aid their colleagues.
With a forced break to our game as I relocated for the holidays, I've had a chance to spend some time to review the game and make some plans for the coming turns, starting with my turn 3. This is a bit of a luxury, I have to admit. I feel the game is very much in the balance, but it must be said that the Germans have no victory buildings under their control, and are not close to making this so. The damage from the 47L AT gun in the last player turn really put a dent in the German advance. I'm far from confident here though. I have 2 more German player turns to navigate before my own reinforcements arrive, and this could be used by Andy to hop into a number of buildings and control them. I need a plan that makes that task difficult and provides the best chance to use my extra forces to hold on. On the plus side, I have eliminated a reasonable number of German units already, with a further 4 MMC broken and under DM. These brokies are not with leaders and will take some time to come back. I also have local numerical superiority in the east part of the map. All my remaining units are in good order. On the downside, in the east, the German units are hindering my ability to reinforce the west. My squad in R5 is very exposed, and if he breaks will struggle to rout. And finally, the German northern flank attack promises to do just that, outflank me. The saving grace here is that most of his upright units are already CX, and the towed guns will take ages to move this way over open ground and using bypass. So what is my plan? Firstly, I need to remember I have 5 player turns remaining. This is important to pace the action in the east. I also need to continue to slow the German progress in the west, while occupying any buildings that I think he might be able to access in the next 2 turns, to stop any control occurring. And then, in my turn 5, look to reinforce them. In the process, I may need to give building N4, but the defensive nub there is a good one, so I will need to consider this very carefully. In more detail in the east, I will try and break the 467 in W4, as this will collapse that area and allow later reinforcements and encircling opportunities into the west. In the west, the 47L AT gun will fire on the half squads in F2. Any morale check here will likely yield some effect. Any rate of fire will be used to repeat the dose or switch targets to the 8-0 in Q1. This guy is a critical unit for the Germans now. He, along with his mate in Q2, getting into N1 for rally is crucial for the German outcome, and my priority is to stop that happening. Fortunately, they both have open ground or +1 terrain to move in to get there. I will be trying to move in a way to interdict such movement. Now, back to AI Andy.
Turn 4. Please note that there's an error in the log file here because the 2 half squads in N0 and O0 should not be concealed. They can be seen from Z, 6 level 1. My sweep round to the north continues, and I plan to get at least a couple of HSs as far west as possible to slow the Belgian reinforcements. My AT gun heading that way might do the same, but it's more likely that I will abandon it and use the crew as infantry. I'm lucky to create a leader in N1 and hero in 06, although 2 more HSs get shot trying to approach the AT gun. I decide to go into CC anyway with my lone leader, who manages to take out the AT gun crew, although gets wounded in doing so. A mistake. I forgot to keep his squad in S6 under DM and it self-rallies, although subsequently pinned by my AT gun which is now guarding my rear. I managed to break the half squad with its machine gun despite taking further casualties, including my hero, but his reinforcements are about to arrive and I do not yet control any multi-hex buildings. At this point, I think I'm probably losing. Turn 5. I make a late rush into buildings E1, D2 and J6, fortunately avoiding any mishaps. The Belgian leader in N4 takes the MMG rather than trying to rally the half squad, but fortunately does little damage.
Things are decisively precarious. It could go either way, and I expect it will be the last player turn that will decide things. As it's my player turn next, I again have the luxury of some prep time. After some thought, I plan to try to set things up in the east to be able to defend the Z6 building to the end with 1 squad, and move my remaining units so they can be in a position to threaten N4, as I expect it will fall soon. This will face some resistance in the form of the 37L AT gun and a wounded leader manning a light machine gun. I will also try to eliminate the broken units by failure to rout and limit further opportunities for these half squads to influence the game later on. In building N4, I will try to hold on as long as possible, but not expecting to hold on, making it hard for Andy and hopefully tie up some units in the process. The reinforcements will attack in force to try and take back the Far West Victory Building and take advantage of the German CX units. Back again to AI Andy.
We had some debate as to whether the two Belgian tanks could enter separately, because one of them has a radio, and eventually agreed that they could. If both were radioless, they would have to enter as a platoon, so this probably needs an ESR to clarify. However, the radioless tank breaks its gun trying to shoot my truck. Belgian infantry enter carrying their bicycles rather than riding them, and will clearly recapture Building D2. I expected more of them to go straight down the road, perhaps on bicycles towards J6 though, as they will certainly need to retake this building too. I'm also not sure why the Belgians are attacking J1, as it's not relevant to VCs. Other Belgian units from Z6 finally run westwards, leaving just a single squad, plus what I know is a dummy, defending that building. I plan to go for building Z6 anyway, with my two HSs still in that area, but it's here that, in a game with plenty of snakies and boxcars, I get my luckiest break. My sniper breaks the Belgian squad in U5 and then, with another sniper check of 1 and perfect a direction dice roll, lands exactly on Y7 and breaks the lone Belgian squad there. Building Z6 is now undefended against my two half squads. One more thing works for me. Although a Belgian squad enters M6 in the advance phase, I control that building immediately before in the RTPH when I remove the last survivors in N4 level 1. Turn 6. There's no SSR in this scenario that requires trucks to withdraw after unloading, so I can still use them, and trucks can overrun with 1 FP. My overrun doesn't affect the squad in R8, but at least provides a distraction for the Belgians trying to get back to recapture Building Z6, which I've now taken. One squad heading there goes berserk, but fortunately for me it's one movement factor short of being able to get into the building. In the west, the Belgians easily recapture Building D2, but have yet to reach J6. I'm a bit surprised that their tank held in I8, rather than advancing to A7 where it might have been more threatening. I wouldn't have tried the MG shot because it would be hull down and I wanted to encircle M6 anyway. Although I have very few units left, I'm now cautiously optimistic. Building N4 should remain mine, and I hope to hold at least one of J6 and Z6 for the win. Turn 7. The Belgians need to recapture 2 buildings on their final turn to avoid a German victory, so I prepare for their last gasp attack. As planned, my crew in J1 abandons its AT gun to reinforce Building J6. The op fire from Z6 level 1 is also important. To DM the broken squad in AA5, can't do it in prep fire as I'm CX, so it would be 2+3. Fortunately I survived Belgian defensive fire. In J6 I advance my MG squad up to level 1 where it's harder for the Belgians to reach. In their last turn the Belgians enter buildings J6 and Z6, predictably including a VBM freeze in J5. However, the game is over in the Belgian RTPH when my broken squad in J5 routes upstairs, where it will hold that building even if no one else survives. We carried on to the CCP anyway, where the Belgians won just one of the 2 CCs in building Z6, so I ended up holding that building too.
Post-game. So, on Christmas Eve, just 10 minutes shy of Christmas Day, I lost the grand final to Andy. As expected, it was very tight, and in the end, I think I was undone by the 2-1 sniper checks that deviated to break the squad, protecting the easterly building, and another squad that could have come to the rescue. In my last turn, I had a very good chance to get it back to 2 VC buildings and a mathematical chance to get it back to 1 VC for the win. But the events earlier in the session really put an end to it, as Andy could always route to a location I could not reach for the win. A game full of momentum swings and only ifs. Thanks and congratulations to Andy on a game well played and in the best of spirits. Thanks also to Dave and Martin for their tireless work. I'm looking forward to the next tournament. Now I'll give the last word to Andy's AI voice.
Conclusions. Lots of interesting outcomes from interesting die rolls, and very well played by my opponent. For much of the time I thought I was losing, especially after the casualties I took on turns 1 and 3. However, the incredible sniper shots that allowed me to capture building Z6, combined with the Belgian reinforcements not managing to retake J6, finally allowed me sneak a win. A really excellent scenario, and one of the most exciting games I have ever played. Plenty of options and important decisions for both sides, so the scenario could turn out very differently on different playings. Obviously the Belgian setup is crucial, and I wonder if I would have adopted a different strategy had he set up units, or even dummies, in Z4 and Y5. Don't know, but this is a scenario I'd be very happy to play again.